Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
Ron. Hey
Paige.
there.
All right, I'm letting everybody in. And we are live on Facebook and we are recording this morning. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for giving your time today. We're going to be keeping this moving right along. I have a couple housekeeping items for you. Welcome, first of all. Appreciate your time. In the bottom middle of your Zoom screen, you'll see the chat function. Please open that up. At any time, if you have a question, please type it into the chat box. I will pause our presenter just so we can answer those questions in a timely manner if it makes sense at that moment. Otherwise, at the end, I will ensure all questions are answered. Afterwards, everyone will be receiving a copy of today's presentation as well as the video link to rewatch this. It's also going to be on our Facebook page forever, so you can rewatch it there at any time as well. Also, if you have time, please give our Facebook a follow. We're also on Twitter and LinkedIn. We put a ton of information out there too, so you don't have to just attend these webinars for some of this information. A lot of it you can find on any of our socials. So thank you again for joining. I did mention that this is being recorded and we're also live on Facebook, so please turn off your camera if you do not wish to be seen. And before we get started and introduce our presenter, I wanted to introduce you to Craig Kuchbah with Centurion Technologies. For those of you who don't know Centurion Technologies, maybe you're just getting to know us, Centurion Technologies is a comprehensive energy and power management solution provider. They'll connect you with absolutely anybody in the tech industry when it comes to energy, clean energy sources. So, hi, Craig. Thanks for making this possible today.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate all your hard work. And we appreciate Lightspec joining us today with their expertise in the EV charging business. Centurion Technologies has been in business for 24 years. We have been, as Ashley said, an energy management and energy and power management company. We have a full suite of solutions. One of the most robust solutions in the industries. We also have wonderful partners like Lightspec, who steps in and is able to cover the New York market. They have some wonderful people out there, and we're happy to have them a part of it. So sit back, enjoy. Ashley, again, thank you, and go ahead and get this going.
Agreed. Let's do this. Thank you, Craig, for that. And let's move right into introducing you to Ron Conroy. Hey, hi, Ron. Thanks so much for making this possible today.
Hey, Ashley, good morning. Thank you for inviting us and allowing us to participate. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll get this thing going, I guess, right?
I'm ready if you're ready.
Okay. Just get this thing in the presentation mode. Oops, sorry about that. Bear with me 1 second. Hey, Ashley, when I go to share my screen, it won't, oh, here we go. Let's try here. Here we go. There we go. Got it now. Everybody see my screen okay?
Yeah, I see it. It looks great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So again, my name is Ron Conroy. I'm the sales operations manager for Lightspec, based out of upstate New York. We do have sales offices in Ohio and in Southwest Ontario and Toronto, Canada. But here we're excited to be a part of this, as I had already mentioned. We appreciate Centurion inviting us, and the goal today is to give you all a general overview of our EV charging hardware and management solution portfolio. And so we'll kick it right into gear here. is not. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're going to start with a discussion on hardware levels, just to give everybody an overview. So there are three predominant levels within the EV charging platform, if you will. This is a national, a general consensus way that we speak to the levels of charging stations. We're starting from left to right with the level 1. This is your very basic 120 volts, lower ampacity, lower kW. Basically the oh shoot moment. I need to charge my vehicle a couple miles to get to a level 2 or a level 3 charger that will more rapidly charge my vehicle. Typically, the level 1s are up to about 9.6 or 10 kW with a 40 amp maximum output. And they typically come with a pre-installed plug on the end, either a 515, a NEMA 515 plug that you can plug into any everyday outlet, and or up to a 1450 or like a range dryer looking 4-wire plug that can easily be installed inside a garage or on the outside of the garage. So those are typically residential units. People do carry them in their vehicles. They pull into a shopping center, pull up the light pole. If there's an outlet there, they may plug it in just to sit there and get a couple more miles so they can continue down the road, and or they'll be using these typically mostly at their homes. Level 2, this is again a residential style charger potentially, as well as a commercial grade. This is 208 to 240 volts, so require 2-pole breaker feeds for residential application. And these are typically up to almost 20 kW or 80 amps of output. Well, what I'm displaying here is a sampling of our offering, including some wall mount and pedestal mount units. And then the level 3s, these are your there's actually it would have been a quiz. There's a typo. Should have been 480 volt DC FC DC fast charge. And this charger is typically used for public applications. And I'm going to go into some of the details of that here shortly. But you'll find these are installed along highways, freeways, outside of businesses, and these go up to 360 kW. And then from a budgetary standpoint, I like to give people an idea of what these things cost, just to give you a feel for what they are. And the level 1s, those are typically under $500. The level 2s at a range of $700 to up to $10,000, depending on feature set, function, and application. And then the level 3s are just under $12,000 in an economical solution, all the way up to over $100,000. There we go. For some reason, the button's not working on my laptop. Sorry about that. So then another level, which the industry does refer to this as level 3 plus, level 4. This is a solution for your higher fleet vehicles, bus applications. And this is also a 480 volt DC fast charging system. But the way it works is with a tower power or a charging stack that then feeds by DC low voltage cable to these dispensers. In this example, we're showing here a unit that will accommodate up to 8 dispensers. There is also another version that will accommodate up to 12 dispensers. The system capacity goes up to about 360 kW, and this is rapidly changing and evolving. And the dispensers typically are 30 kW each, up to 180 kW. As far as installation methods and accessories, there are really 3 different types of installations. There's wall mount. Those would typically be in residential applications and in some light commercial applications. Then there are pedestal mount, either an all-in-one unit like the unit there in the middle part of the screen on the right that has Gateway 360 logo indicated down the front of it. That's an all-in-one unit that it's shipped and delivered. Obviously, it would need to be assembled. There's a little bit of assembly, but it's an all-in-one unit versus the other 2 where we're taking a wall mount unit and mounting it to a pedestal. This is a field install installation. And there's various different pedestal orientations. On the left there, that's just for a single port. Then we have in the middle a side-by-side with a cable retracting feature on the top. We also have back-to-back units with or without cable retracting features. And then again, the all-in-one unit there on the right-hand side. And then all the way to the right, we have our standalone units. These are the 40 volt DC fast charge units. And typically you'll see these in public applications. I guess we can pause here. Any questions so far?
None in the chat, so thank you.
All right, so I got a couple placeholds in here. Ashley, I meant to tell you that. This is one of them. So let's move on to user and owner management. So there are two different use or owner management. There's a non-pay for charge, and then there would be a pay for charge feature. Or option with some back office management capabilities. So starting with the pay for charge, this is typically done via an app that is downloaded to a smart device. We have two different apps that work with our residential or light commercial models. We have the WeCharge app and the S-Charge. They're both similar and have the same feature set. They both connect via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to the internet and or your phone. Obviously you'll be using the cellular service, but it will connect to the charger via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And it gives you the ability to have remote start and stopping. You can schedule charging times. So an example with that would be is in a residential application, you get home after work, you pull your car into the garage, you plug the charging station or charger into the vehicle, and then you go into the house. And you've set, in this case, you could set a schedule that will tell the charger, don't start charging till after 10 p.m. when I'm on off-peak energy consumption, and then stop charging at 4 or before 5 a.m. in the morning before it goes back to peak, or 6 a.m. or whatever the utility schedule typically is. You can also use the app to adjust a dynamic load balance, and meaning what that means is you can adjust the kW output. So if likely any individual that has an EV vehicle has an energy consumption, they keep that in mind. They try to limit their demand. And so if during that day they came home and the vehicle is say 3/4 full or charged, then they may just set the timer or the schedule to start still at off peak. But instead of providing a full, say, 10 kW output that the hardware is capable of doing, they can dial that down to, say, 2 kW and then charge either until it times out before it goes to peak hour at 5 a.m. and or when the vehicle is fully charged. Or vice versa, if you get home and the vehicle is almost empty, you have a long day tomorrow, you want to make sure you got a full charge, you may take it off the schedule, tell it to start charging even though it's on peak time, and or leave it on the schedule and just make sure that it's providing the highest kW output that the hardware will allow. Also, you can use the apps to view your charging history and power consumption and use that to make changes in your daily habits or just in your scheduling for your charging. The other option is the turnkey back office management and or pay for charge. We use Zebtron as our predominant software manufacturer that allows this management, ability to manage this. And it's really twofold. So as an owner, you just want to have a record or a log of when your company vehicles were being charged, which ones were charged, when, how long, and just to capture that information. You're not charging yourself or making your employer or employee pay for like going to the gas pump and paying for gas. The charging capabilities is provided it for free, and you're just using it just to manage and make record or logs of the use. But you can also use it for a pay for charge. So as an owner, based on the consumer, you can decide what rate they get, when they get it. Maybe it is free, maybe it's at a discount, or maybe it's not at a discount. And so for public applications, you can use the software to maximize your revenue to collect money for the ability for consumers to use your charger to charge their vehicle. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about the Zebtron software a little bit more detail. There's a lot of complexity to this, or the ability for complex use. Let's start for the flexibility for the driver. Not as complex, very easy. It's a quick connect technology using a mobile connection to a URL. This is not app-based. There's not a Zebtron app. You're actually using your smartphone to connect to the internet, to their website, and that's a connection that allows you to establish how you pay. You can set multiple different payment methods. Let's say you have a vehicle you use for business purposes and you also use it for personal. You can load in two different credit cards or bank accounts or whatever you want to be able to do. So that creates flexibility for the driver. And then as far as for the owner, the management platform, this allows the owner to easily manage all their drivers and the stations all under one umbrella. So if the owner has multiple properties, they can look on their one account, look at all their units, all the charging stations, see what the activity is like. They can access the specific driver information, or let's say it is for one of their employees. That's where they would run the logs to see the activity. And then you can also use it to leverage a relationship with a larger group. So let's say as an owner, I own a business block, and in that business block, half of it is a parking garage, and the other half is a combination of commercial space, a little bit of retail, maybe some shops, some restaurants on the first 2 floors, and then there's apartments above that. I can use my tenants who live there or work there. I can assign them a discounted rate. I can make it free, can include it in their lease, whatever the complexity is. And also, if I own other properties amongst the city, I can let them know that as you travel to my other stations, you'll get a discounted rate or whatever you decide you want to do. It's a very simple way you keep it as simple as you want. You can make it as complex as you want.
Ron.
Yes.
We actually have a couple of viewers on Facebook, and there was a question that came in. What types of businesses are already using this software to maximize existing fleets, or are they using it more as a third-party revenue generator?
They're using it for both. So if an owner, simply put, if an owner of the hardware does not want to offer the charger for free, so no pay for charge, this is their ability to control the pay for charge and what customers use it, and it's not free. So they use that. They also use it in some cases to, like a hotel or a motel may use it to capture or market to consumers or customers, and they may offer it as a free service. And so, but they'll still give them an ID or an access that allow them to use the chargers for free. Or if it's a let's say it's like a strip mall, and in the portion of the parking lot, the owner, the property management people that own the units and own the property, they could also use it as a revenue generation to advertise to outside customers, consumers as well. So there's a lot of different variables. Any other questions?
That's all I see right now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so with Zebtron is a OCPP software, meaning it's an open charge point, uses an open charge point protocol system. And there are other manufacturers or software manufacturers that participate in this open system. And what that means is that whenever a hardware manufacturer has an open system hardware, any open system software company can be used for the networking and for the management. And then if a consumer or the owner, if the owner decides that they're not happy with the service of that OCPP provider, they can cancel their subscription, if you will, and then bring on another manufacturer. The way I guess I explain it a little bit differently too is think of it as like Google. It's an open platform versus there are other systems out there that are closed, meaning you have to be a member, you have to belong to that software. Maybe that hardware only works with that software. And there are some manufacturers that claim they're an open consortium, but they're truly not. It's actually it's thought of as it's designed to be promoted as an open system, but it's really closed loop. You can't use somebody else's software on their hardware, and you can't use their software and other hardware manufacturers unless it's by invitation or there's a strategic partnership that's already set up in advance. So as a user, what does it look like for me? So as a consumer, I pull up to a charging station that has a Zebtron software loaded onto it. I will see this logo. This sticker will be applied to the face of the hardware. I would scan the QR code with my smart device. It automatically opens the URL address. And then what I see next is, am I a member? Do I want to log in, or am I going to register as a guest? So if I'm a first-time user, it doesn't stop you from using the charging station. You're just going to load in your information, some method of payment. It's all 100% secure on the back end. If I'm a member, I'm going to log in, and all my information's already pre-populated, and I can start to use the charger as I pay for charge. If there is a issue or the equipment is down, I'll go back to the slide. You can call Zebtron and or log in, and you can tell them I'm at station 30002 and it's not operating properly, or it's broken, or whatever the situation is. So you have the ability of connecting directly with Zebtron by following the instructions on the label there. Okay. So in addition to the QR code, most commercial and public space units and or fleet units also have RFID card access readers. So either it could be used at an employer, or say it's a school district, they can hand out RFID cards to their teachers so they can have access to the charging stations while they're working, or an employer for their employees when they're parking in the parking lot during work time. And then they have an identification that's assigned to that RFID. And then as the owner, you can also use that RFID to assign a rate or a free charge or accessibility limitations of access to the charging station via the RFID card. Okay, there's a little pause here. Any other questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right, so let's segue into actual applications and typical products that we represent. This is not an all-inclusive list of our hardware, but these are kind of I would think of these as the hero products for these applications. Starting with a residential plug and play. This is our EV100 series. This is typically used, again, in a residential application. Not to say it couldn't be used in a commercial, but it's a great solution for a homeowner. Low cost, very easy to install, and hence the plug and play. So this unit comes with a pre-installed 1450p plug on the end of the cable that you would simply wire a receptacle that accommodates that plug in your garage or on the outside of your garage or your house. This is a pretty powerful unit for residential application. It goes all the way up to 10 kW of output or 40 amps. This typically will handle the typical medium-sized to smaller EV vehicles with that 10 kW rating. It has simple LED indicators telling you the status of the unit. Is it online? Is it working? Is there power provided to it? It does come in a NEMA 250 and 3R enclosure, so it can be installed outside in the elements. It also has the ability to connect to the network via land or a Cat5 or Cat6 cable. And you can also connect via Wi-Fi. And there are also 4G options to add a SIM card if you have if you don't have internet service, which is pretty far and few and in between, but it does happen. Or you don't have a Wi-Fi, and you're looking to use the cellular service instead. It is OCPP enabled, and it does come with a pre-installed 16-foot cable. We do offer a made-to-order options or an option for a 25-foot cable, so it adds another 9 feet, gives you the flexibility for maybe a larger garage, or you have a garage where there's maybe 2 vehicles and you're using 1 charger. You want to centrally locate the charging station. Moving to the electrical output, as I already mentioned, this is it is a level 2. It's 240 volts, or in a commercial application can be wired for 208 volts. It is a high output rating up to 10 kW or 40 amps, and it requires a 2-pole 40 amp breaker to feed the unit. And then as far as the interface and control, it comes with the ability to connect with the free app, the WeCharge app. It also has a built-in RFID reader, so it's a good low-cost employer for their employee applications, and as well as you can add the Zebtron software management. Physical size, not very big. It's right around 12 inches in height. The unit itself in just under 9 inches in width with the pre-installed, and of course it comes with a pre-installed plug, as I had mentioned earlier, and it is CEUL US listed. Then the next option for residential is a segue to larger vehicles. For example, the Ford Lightning pickup truck. This is up to a 60 amp input or 11.5 kW output. It also has a NEMA 250 and 3R enclosure, can be installed in the elements. It has a single LED status indicator that, depending on the color, will acknowledge the status if it's online, if it's charging, if there's a fault. And there's some blinking and some of the things that it'll do. There's a troubleshooting guide within the instructions that will help you understand, what the indicator is indicating. You can connect this via land with a Cat cable, as well as Wi-Fi and 4G. Both those are optional. You can add those on as an option. And this one also comes with the 16-foot cable. This unit also is available in 4 dedicated kW outputs, as low as 3.8 kW or fed by a 2-pole 20 amp breaker, 7.6 kW or fed by a 2-pole 40 amp breaker, 9.6 kW or fed by a 2-pole 50 amp breaker, and then 11.5 kW output fed by a 2-pole 60 amp breaker. This, just like the EV100, has the ability to use a free app. In this case, we're using the S-Charge app. You can also add an RFID card option, reading option to this unit, and you can add the Zebtron management software. This one's a little bit smaller in size. It's more of a square, maybe a little sleeker looking unit. But the difference simply between this one and the previous one is this goes up to 11.5 kW. Next, I'm segueing into fleet use. So this is where it may be a business with multiple delivery vans, as the illustration showing there in the center on the top right. This is a very basic unit with a single LED indicator and a plug holster to hold the plug so it doesn't get damaged or dropped on the ground. This unit goes up to 100 amps of input or 19.6 kW of output. Will very easily handle any typical delivery vehicle, truck, short a van, anything smaller than, say, a bus. This is a great solution for that. This is also comes in a NEMA 250 3R enclosure. Again, it has a single LED status indicator around the plug, kind of a very nice, sleek looking unit. It comes also with the ability to connect via land, Wi-Fi, or 4G. Land is standard, and Wi-Fi and 4G are options you can add to the unit. It is also OCPP compliant, so it works with the Zebtron software, and it comes standard with a 16-foot cable, but you can increase the length of that cable as a made-to-order option. This is also a level 2 240 volt unit, can be installed at 208 volt for commercial applications, and it goes up to that 19.2 kW. It's available in 5 different dedicated kW options, a 3.8 kW, a 7.6 kW, a 9.6, 11.6, 16.8, or 19.2, all fed by the breakers as indicated in that chart. It also can be connected to the S-Charge app. So if you're using this for a higher end residential application, let's say you bring that delivery van home and you need above 11.5 kW. So you couldn't use the EV250, which I just showed you, and you can't use the EV100 because that's only up to 10 kW. So this will allow you to expand beyond that 11.5 kW or 11.6 kW to go up to 19.2. It also has an RFID reader option that can be added to the unit. And it has the single LED indicator with 4 different color lights. It'll blink, very, very user-friendly and easy to understand and decipher if there's a fault. This one's a little bit taller. It's just over 14 inches, but still under 10 inches width-wise. Now we're gonna move towards a public use or a pay-for-charge scenario. This is our EV900 series. This is what I refer to as our all-in-one. So it's a charging station with a built-in cable retracting feature. This unit is a 2-port out of the box only. So there's 2 ports. It'll charge up to 80 amps it'll use up to 80 amps of input and or 19.2 kW of charging capacity. And it, again, is durable. It has a Type 3 IK rating protection for outdoor use. It comes with a 7-inch LCD screen, a little more user-friendly. You can let's say as a business, you can advertise. You can use the LCD screens as you typically see today when you go to a gas pump and they have the LCD screens. There might be some advertising or promotions of some product. Buy something, get something. It allows you to do that, and it also allows you it's a more concise instruction on how to use the unit. So you can use the LCD screen to communicate additional information. This also can be connected via LAN. It comes standard with a LAN connection. And if you want to add Wi-Fi or a 4G option, those are additional options you can add to the features to the unit. It is OCPP compliant, and it does come with a standard 16-foot cable. And that cable can be also increased to up to 25 feet. This unit also has the ability to use what we call a power sharing method. So each unit comes with a jumper kit that allows you, in normal installations, you would provide a 2-pole circuit to one port and a 2-pole circuit feed to the other port. But if you have in a scenario where maybe you don't have the bandwidth of your panel, maybe you only have one space for one 2-pole breaker, not 2, you can feed this unit with one 2-pole breaker and use the power sharing capability via the jumping kit to feed the unit with one 2-pole breaker. So instead of a maximum of 19.2 kW per port, 19.2 to the left, 19.2 to the right. If you feed this with one 2-pole breaker, the overall unit will have the maximum combined kW of 19.2. And then if one vehicle is connected, it gets all the 19.2. If 2 vehicles are connected, it's divided by 2. That's the way it works. This unit's available in 5 dedicated kW outputs, starting as low as a 3.8 kW or fed by a 2-pole 20 amp breaker. Then it goes to a 7.6 kW fed by a 2-pole 40 amp breaker, a 9.6 kW fed by a 2-pole 50 amp breaker, 11.5 fed by a 2-pole 60 amp breaker, 16.8 kW fed by a 2-pole 90 amp breaker, and then a 19.2 kW fed by a 2-pole 100 amp breaker. This unit is also available to be customized in coloring and logoing. So if a business wants to match their color scheme, they want to put their name on the unit to draw attention or market or advertise their business, those are all capabilities that are available for this public use pay for charge. As far as interfacing and control, this one does not work with an app. This is RFID card reader or using a Zevtron management software only. And it does, again, it comes with the 7-inch LCD screen for easy user-friendly interfacing. Then the next level, this would be a level 3 public use pay for charge. This is one of our 480 volt DC fast charging units. This is our EV4000 series. These are 2-port units up to 120 kW of charging capacity. They are durable. They're designed to be in the outdoors as the other units. They do come with a 7-inch LCD screen for each port. They do connect. They come standard with the ability to connect to the network via LAN, Wi-Fi, or 4G. What I failed to mention earlier is anytime with a 4G connectivity, there is an additional fee to purchase or to pay for the networking capabilities. To be able to connect with the SIM card. It's a small fee of $80 per year per hardware unit to take advantage of that cell SIM card. Again, this one's OCPP compliant, and it comes with a standard flexible 13-foot cable. That 13-foot cable is the distance from the top of the cable retractor to the plug itself. We can expand the length of the cables and the option. It does add a little complexity to how the cables are managed. They may drag on the ground a little bit. As you can see, from these images, there's not a lot of space. But these, again, they come standard with only the 13-foot cable, and that's pretty standard. These are level 3 DC fast charging 480 volt units. We offer these in 5 dedicated kW outputs: 60 kW, 90 kW, 120, 150, and 180. That is the total kW. So if it is a 60 kW unit and one vehicle is plugged in, it gets all the 60 kW potentially. If there's 2 vehicles, it would be divided in half. And as far as the charging control, these interface with the RFID cards and the Zevtron software. As far as the physical size, a little bit taller. Obviously, our taller units, these all come standard with a cable retracting feature. And as I did not mention this previously, but the cable retracting feature, it really helps to protect the cable, stop it from dragging on the ground. Instead of, if it didn't have that, the cable might get run over by a vehicle, it could be damaged. And also comes with these holsters that the plugs plug into when they're done being used. So that helps protect the plugs themselves as well. Okay, so now segueing to a specific application for bus EV charging. As I had spoken earlier in the beginning of the presentation, I talked about this level 3 plus, level 4 with the charging stack and the charging dispenser. That's a great solution for school bus applications. We're starting to see a lot more of these as schools are transitioning from gas emission buses to non-gas emission buses. At least in the state of New York, there is a requirement that all the school districts will need to transition 100% away from their gas emission fossil fuel buses to a non-fossil fuel bus by the year 2035. This is really a kind of an end game solution or an end phase. As school districts begin to start purchasing buses, they may be only purchasing 1 to 2 to 5 at a time, or over a course of 10 years, maybe they'll start to get to half of their bus fleet. And that's where, through that transition, it might make more sense to use something like either that as a low end based on their available power. Maybe they don't have 480 volt fed to their transportation center. Likely they do, but if they're looking for something with a highest kW rating, they could use the EV900 series. or they could use one of these public use larger DC fast charging units. And then ultimately, as the fleet starts to grow, they're likely going to want to move towards this charging stack, which will allow up to 8 or 12 dispensers dedicated to each bus. Again, this also works with our Zevtron software. In this case, obviously the school district wouldn't use it as a pay-for-charge. They would use the software purely for logging when buses were charged, how often they were charged, what's the status, just to help them manage how they maybe reschedule the bus routes and maximize the ability, their charging capabilities along with the demand. The next is a really unique situation or an opportunity with car dealerships. So car dealerships, obviously they're selling EV vehicles, and pretty much every manufacturer provides one of those portable level chargers with the car, but they don't provide a charger you can bring home that's a higher kW. So in addition to that, with each of the car dealerships, they also have a need to use a charger in their service departments, as well as maybe they want to promote some public charging and attract consumers with current EV vehicles to come to their place of business, charge their vehicle while they're shopping. So we built this illustration as a simple kind of general overview of maybe the 3 opportunistic opportunities within a car dealership. And I repeat myself and maybe go in order this time. So we'll start with number 1. This is called customer charging station. Typically would be a level 3 fast charging station, something maybe they would advertise. They would put this on some of there's some apps out there that will map point where there's a charger. A lot of the EV charging customers or EV vehicle customers use those apps to plan their trips, plan their days, look for places where they can go charge their vehicle. And so this would be a way for the dealership or automotive group to advertise, hey, we've got public available chargers. Maybe they're free. Maybe that's what they're going to do. They're offer the charging for free. They get consumers to come, and while they're waiting for their car to charge, they can shop for a new vehicle. Then you have number 2, which is a service area. So within the inside of the building, within the car bays, there might be some applications for like the EV100, a very simplistic 10 kW, just to service those medium to small size vehicles. And for the larger vehicles, they can also install a EV30-100 series, which I didn't talk about in detail previously, but this is a wall mount. It is a combination level 2 and level 3. You can actually install this unit 208, 240, or 480 volt. And so this is a good solution maybe for the service departments for the fleet vans or the Ford Lightning pickup trucks. And then also for maybe a staging area, as a car is waiting to come in to be serviced, or let's say it didn't have time to charge it in the inside of the building, you can install these EV900 all-in-one units on the external, maybe on the outside of the exit garage door of the service area. So it gives you just another flexibility, another space to be able to charge vehicles, and maybe leave them parked and charging until the owner comes to pick up their vehicle after it's been serviced.
Hey, Ron.
Yes.
This actually just popped into my head, but are you saying that the EV charging stations that some of the Ford dealerships, for example, already have, are those, a third party, or do those kind of come with the F-150 software? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, so Ford's a little different. So admittedly, Ford does have what they call their Ford Pro series. They actually do sell charging stations. Chargers for residential and or for commercial use. They don't make them; they're all private labeled, manufactured by somebody else. But we've had much dialogue with Ford, and Ford realizes that they have some limitations in their private labeling product. They do promote it, but they don't force anybody. You don't have to buy it. You can buy another unit. We've got much dialogue going on with a few car dealerships, and a couple of them are Ford dealers where they're not going to go with the Ford Pro. They're going to go with us because it'll be all one brand that they can use for their service purposes. They can also include them in the sale of a vehicle, and they can also offer some public charge, especially the larger the car automotive groups that have multiple dealerships over multiple cities, they're really looking for one platform to manage. And so by going with somebody like us, you get one brand of hardware, use the one brand of software, the Zebtron software, and you can manage all of your stores under one account, one management level.
Thanks.
Yep. So in addition to that, of course, we've worked with some of our dealerships. I say, of course, you would think, of course, but we've worked with some of the dealers to offer spiffs for their salespeople. Hey, why don't you include a charger in the sale of the vehicle, and we'll spiff you back, $25 per charger. Some simple little conversation. The consumer can purchase it, add it to their loan, ends up being $1 a month or whatever, maybe a little more than $1 a month, but makes it easier to maybe pay for that charging station all at once through the car dealership. And so that's part of the showroom and customer accessories. So a lot of these automotive groups where there's multiple dealerships, they are like a detailing or another business that they run that's adjacent to the car dealerships by brand that maybe sells the accessories, does the rust proofing, adds the tonneau covers for the trucks, and they could easily promote and market the ability to sell these simple charging stations. And that's in the box number 3. It could be something as simple as a portable unit, the one there on the left under the box number 3, the EV100 and or the EV300, which will give you that flexibility up to 19.2 kW. Will more than handle any vehicle that they likely would purchase from that dealer. Might be a good question for good spot for any other questions.
None that I see. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, we're kind of here at the tail end. So what are the key questions to ask? Like, how do we help a consumer or a business owner pick out a charger or select a charging station? So the first question I always ask when an owner asks me, hey, I'm looking for a charger, what do you recommend? And that's typically what I get. They don't know what they want. But the first question I always ask is, have you reached out to your utility supplier? Have you connected with them to make sure that that they have the ability and the bandwidth on the grid to provide you with what may require a significant amount of more power fed to your building or to your business? And then also ask about the incentives, because a lot of the utility manufacturers are offering an incentive to help with the installation of the infrastructure, the conduit, the panel board, dropping a new transformer, a new pole with a transformer down to a new feed. So it's definitely worthy of having that conversation before they go buy a charger, to make sure that the charger they buy, the KW, will work with the availability of power that they have or the bandwidth they currently have in their panel, or maybe they need to have a new service brought in and they need to understand the cost of doing that. Then once they've done that, then we can talk about the application. Like is there another manufacturer or basis of a design or some unit that you've already seen and you're like, hey, I'm interested in something like that. That's a good place to start to see what's their understanding. Have they done a little bit of their own research, and then use that time to be able to compare our product and our service and our solutions versus maybe the model they're looking at, because not all manufacturers are the same. Some of them use, admittedly, pull the wool over a consumer's eyes. They don't speak to the actual output capabilities as well as they should. And every application for an EV charger, by National Electrical Code, you need to derate the demand by 80%. So if you're feeding if you're going to provide a 2-pole 50 amp breaker feed, then you need to understand that the maximum output that you can provide is 40 amps, 80% of the 50 amps. A lot of manufacturers don't explain that. Consumers go buy a charger, they're thinking they're going to get more kW than they really are, or then they realize that maybe that's the other thing is not only do you talk to a utility supplier, you might have to talk to an electrician or a code inspector, because there may be requirements where you can install. And as a homeowner, are you allowed to install this equipment? Each town and jurisdiction is different. So that's probably another note I should make in that bullet, is to reach out to your electrical code inspector to ask the question up front. What you don't want to do is go install this equipment, spend all this money, and the inspector come back and say, no, you can't put that on the front of your building. It's got to go on the side of the building. Hey, you're supposed to take out a permit. Now you're getting fined. It's just a recommendation. Cover your ground as early as possible before you make that investment, because it could be catastrophic otherwise. And then back to the specifications. So outside the basic design, do you have a drawing? Did you use an architect or an engineer to help design this into, an expansion or a new construction? And then also, if it's for personal or business use, for your own use, like what vehicle are you using? What's the manufacturer? Do they indicate specific or limitations on the minimum amount of kW you can use and any other requirements you may have? These are, again, good questions to ask up front before you go and purchase something that doesn't really quite work with the vehicle you have. Then what's the application and use? Is it residential? Is it for personal use? If so, typically, then that would be one of the lower model numbers, our EV100 up to our EV350. Maybe use an app. You don't have to use the app, but use that for scheduling purposes. Or is it for commercial? Is it for commercial? It's for your own business use. Is it for your employees? And how would you allow them, what's the plan for how they get to use it and the limitations? And that kind of that goes to the next bullet with are you going to offer a pay for charge? Are you going to require people to pay you? You're going to collect revenue and money when they use your charging stations. And then the other applications would be public. Is it for fleet use? And just by understanding the application, we can kind of dwindle down to what the hardware options or solutions we should provide to them. Again, available or planned power availability. You got to start with what you have. You got to understand, I have limitations. Do you have a single phase or a 3-phase service? What's your current demand? Have you had an electrician come in and put a demand meter on to see how much of that 200 amp panel are you currently using in everyday business? And then I'll know what the availability of power is that you have. Where do you want to mount these? Is it going to be on a wall mount, on this outside of the building? Do you want to have a pedestal mount unit? You want to install it somewhere in the corner of the parking lot? Just to understand what those applications are. And then based on the also use, we can make recommendations. If it's a pedestal, maybe you should have a cable management feature of some sort or a cable retracting option. And last but not least, how do you plan to connect to the network? Are you going to hardwire using LAN? Do you have Wi-Fi available? How strong is it? Does it get affected during weather periods, like in the winter? Is it let's say it's at a convenience store and you're going to install these things in the corner. If you're going to use Wi-Fi, what happens with a bunch of vehicles getting in the way? Have you checked to see what the signal is going to be? And maybe Wi-Fi is not the solution. Maybe cellular would be a better solution. The best solution, the most dependable, is LAN. The second would be cellular. And we always recommend that the installer goes and purchases or uses a cellular signal meter. You can easily buy these as easily on Amazon for under $150. And you use the meter to go to the exact spot where you're going to install the charging station, and you can check the signal to see if it's going to be strong enough. You want to make sure you got, if not all bars, but close to all bars, not 1 or 2 bars. You're just going to be open yourself up for, quality and customer issues if you don't have a strong signal. But we do have, so we also are considering, we have a service provider that we're working with that will provide a rural area solution. So if you're in a market, which there's a lot, there's if you look at the map of the United States, there's a lot of spots that let's say this is for public use, that there is not internet capability that can be ran to the units, and or there's bad cell coverage. And the way this service works at a high level is it's an app that's on your phone, that's already loaded on your phone, and it uses Bluetooth to connect to the hardware. And it collects that information. And as your phone gets into better cell coverage, after you've used the charger, better cell coverage, or maybe get on a Wi-Fi network. It then relays, it stores the information and then relays, hey, I used this charging station, I charged for this long, this is how much it cost, this is how much I paid. So that's a pretty sweet service addition we're going to have soon, because there's a lot of applications out there that just don't have good cell coverage or the ability of running hardwire. That's the end. A little bit short and sweet. The goal was just to go through the high level, an overview of EV charging, some of our hardware and software solutions, and just plant some seeds. So who's got some questions, comments, applications, anything you want to cover? We got like 3 minutes here, it looks like.
Thanks, Ron. I really appreciate you sharing all of that valuable information today. I know there's a lot of tools I took away. We'll be putting together a summary for everybody who attended and putting that out via email directly to you. We have some people thanking you in the chat as well. Yes, there was another question about whether this PowerPoint will be available. Yes, the answer is yes. For those of you who attended, we'll make sure you get a copy. So if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and conclude today. And thank you all again for making the time to do this. Again, we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. This video will be on our Facebook forever, so you can watch it there too and share it with anybody else who might have interest in this. So thanks again, Ron. We really appreciate all the information.
Thank you, Ashley. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you, Ron. Have a good one. I'll talk to y'all later.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody. Thank you again.